Mr. Chairman, the meeting is now live. Please proceed.
Good evening, all. Welcome to our Monday, November 22nd, 2021 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order at 6:41 p.m. Secretary Henderson, can you please read the notice of compliance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given and published in the North Jersey Herald and News on August 13th, 2021, and filed with the Clerk of the City of Patterson on July 16th, 2021, and posted in the Patterson City Hall immediately thereafter.
Thank you, Secretary. Can you please give us the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner DeLees.
Present.
Commissioner Garcia Leon.
Absent.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Present.
Commissioner Corbo.
Present.
Commissioner Redmond. Commissioner Redmond. Vice Chair Raffel. Commissioner Simpson.
Present.
Commissioner Walter.
Present.
Chair Tate.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to move to item number 3, which is the approval of minutes for the October 25th, 2021 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve and also second?
Move.
Commissioner Walter, second.
Thank you very much. Secretary, did you hear Commissioner Corbo for the motion and Commissioner Walter for the second?
Confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Commissioner Corbo.
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond.
Yes.
Vice Chair Raffel.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving along to item number 4, administrative matters. We'll start with A, committee assignments and the design guidelines, etc. Executive Director, can you provide us with a report? And I'll follow up with commentary.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yes, so we had the opportunity to meet earlier this week, Chair Tate and myself, and I expressed that we learned about a grant opportunity that is coming forward to be due, I believe it's in January, for a certified local government grant. These are grants that we've received many of in the past for planning type activities, and we actually used one of these grants to produce the downtown commercial historic district guidelines. And we are currently reviewing a new set of the Great Falls Historic District guidelines. But if some of you may remember, the designation of the East Side Park Historic District didn't take place until 2014, present to the public and to the City Council with regard to the various guidelines, what they actually contained and what reviews would be about. So the guidelines were rather an important part of the designation process, but that's been some years ago now. And we have the opportunity to apply for a grant in January to assist us with having the Eastside Park Historic District guidelines sort of done over again in a formal way with the assistance of professional designers and preservation folks, as we've done the past guidelines. Also, most of you have been with the commission long enough to know, serving on multiple terms now, that we do a lot of East Side Park Historic District reviews. We are often reviewing, windows, doors, siding, roofs, and the times are really changing with regard to the availability of replacement materials. We had this experience, for example, just as an example, with slate roof and having to research and then present some sophisticated alternative slate roof products. We spent some time with that based on an application some time ago, several years ago. So I was mentioning to the chairman that I requested that a design guideline committee be convened pretty much right away so that we could start to review the guidelines we have and have some poignant discussion in committee with regard to some of the topics that we're very familiar with that need attention. And I also do have some applications in the East Side District that do need attention with regard to some of these topics. So it would be very important for us to get a head start on discussion so that in committee, so that we can bring the research and the discussion to the commission in time for when this grant application is sort of due and we're creating an application and waiting for the award. So we have enough time to get into the weeds and when and if we get the grant, we'd be able to execute it in a very short period of time, get it done and implemented within 6 months of the new year is what I wanted to just provide that update specifically for the design guidelines as is mentioned here on the agenda. However, I'd like to just turn it back to the chairman because we've been talking now since our reorganization that we should have a new set of committees, and the committee members should then be encouraged to start meeting and doing some of the important business that committees usually do prior to and in between the formal preservation meetings.
Thank you, Executive Director. This is the Chairman. So as the Executive Director mentioned, we had a thorough meeting discussing the committee assignments and specifically the design guidelines requirement. I reached out to several commissioners as a follow-up, and I look to further the conversation, I guess either towards the end of this week, considering the holiday, or early Monday. But I'd like to get ahead of organizing those groups as soon as possible, just so that we can kind of tie up this the rest of this year with a steady progression towards the goals that we have in mind. And as you guys know, I'm free. You can reach me however is best for you, and we can kind of go through for the administrative aspect of it. It would be a good reference point in our meetings, and also it would be good literature to kind of disseminate to the people in the districts that specifically East Side Park District and areas that would be impacted by this particular document. So with that said, are there any questions from the commissioners regarding? If I don't see any hands, then I think we'll
COVID-19 protocols. Last time we discussed the willingness, possibility, and interest of commissioners to come back to in-person meetings at City Hall, and I'd like to thank our attorney, Salcedo, for sending an email around to everyone and asking for everyone's vote on attendance of in-person meetings. Our majority response was to continue with virtual meetings, and that's what we're doing tonight, and that's what we'll continue to do for the near future. I'm specifically just waiting to hear from the city with regard to whether they have reach a time when they're not going to support the virtual meeting format any longer. But until then, we can sort of take a poll again and monitor the COVID situation as time goes on, maybe in another several months. That is really the update I wanted to provide. Our COVID-19 protocols that were issued by executive order, the most recent executive order in the beginning of September by Mayor Saya, are still in place and call for employees of the city to be are still in effect. But for members of the public and for the commission business, day-to-day business, our city buildings are open for public business during hours, our normal hours. Our functions are as they usually are. We're having in-person meetings, doing site visits, etc. That's been ongoing for several months now, and that has not changed. So I wanted to change of the previously scheduled December meeting from its original date to a date a week before, so it doesn't conflict with holiday travel plans or other people's holiday planning time, because our meeting usually ends up being on the holiday week. So wherever the holiday falls, like wherever Christmas, if they're interested in meeting on the 13th of December, and everyone has been agreeable to that, and I wanted to just reinforce that our meeting for December will be on Monday, December 13th. Now, we don't have new business this evening. This should be a rather short meeting and more of an administrative meeting. However, next month we are already queuing up some rather large applications. So we may do as many as 3 applications in December. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Executive Director. At this time, I'd like to move to item number 5, committee reports. Sub-item.
Commission wants to meet or to throw some names in the hat for good graces, or if we want to omit that award this year.
Okay, Commissioner Walter, I have nobody in mind that would be good for that. If anybody else has a suggestion.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough award. I don't know if John Franco, if you know somebody, in the community that has not received in these past years.
Yes, a limited time to kind of make the awardee aware that we've selected someone for the Good Graces Award. So I think the absolute deadline for nominating and then accepting a Good Graces Award would be the next meeting, December 13th. I think there would be enough time to still have a Good Graces Award for January. However, we would have to do some of our notices in advance of having an awardee. Let's say that much, and let's remember to.
This is Rich. I just thought of something. Has Bob Geraci ever won the award?
He has. I just thought of the Patterson Museum folks too. I don't know if we ever awarded them, like Giacomo.
Well, one year we were discussing Giacomo, I remember, but then we didn't. We ended up not nominating him. There are others in consideration, but yeah, Giacomo is definitely served more than 20 years in his position, a long career of service. I don't think that he's necessarily retiring. However, that's something to be considered.
If then we're going to change that rule.
Well, thanks, Rich, I appreciate it, but you're right.
There are two other names. I don't know if we want to talk about them now or bring them to the next meeting that I just thought of.
I agree, Kelly.
Okay.
Does that conclude your committee report?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Vice Chair Rafael, Executive Director, and Commissioner Walter. As was stated in the committee report discussion, everyone keep in mind possible nominees for this particular award. And with that being said, I'd like to move on to item number 6, which is old business and correspondence. Executive Director, can you please read us everything on your director's report, the activities and historic sites 1 through 4, please?
Starting with the Great Falls National Historical Park. First thing I'd like to mention is we had a 10-year anniversary event for the designation of the Great Falls National Historical Park, which as an anniversary date, that marks the date that the City of Patterson and the National Park Service struck an agreement that in effect created all of the various cooperative moving parts of the park within the city, including the agreement to transfer certain city-owned lands at the core of the Great Falls Park around the waterfall to the National Park Service. And that is another piece of business that moved ahead in November, right after the November 7th event. And by the way, it was a beautiful day to be at, and the falls were really roaring that day. It was a great event. It was held at Overlook Park at the new amphitheater of these lands. Now, this transfer also is not just tied to the 2011 agreement and the 10-year anniversary that is mentioned, but also to a new project going forward that you're all familiar with, the Alexander Hamilton Visitors Education Center. Name to that project getting started with regard to construction, so we're much closer now to that project getting a shovel in the ground. Also, there was, I believe I mentioned that at a prior meeting, we were going to do, we still may do a press announce on November 11th. So it's been a very busy month at the Great Falls for milestones and for additional funding. And in that same vein, I don't want to forget that Darren Bach, the superintendent at the event, announced also the Park Service's award of matching funds for raceway work, specifically the rehabilitation of the 1840s gatehouse at the intersection of McBride Avenue and Spruce, basically where the bridge of Spruce Street Bridge begins. And that is another very important announcement. We know by various updates from the Passaic Valley Water Commission that the Levine Reservoir storage containment project, water storage containment project, is also getting very close to coming around for its final review and permitting at the local level, at our level, so that project can also move on to construction. As you know, in 2022, actually, in the beginning of next year, is what it looks like. This project is the memorandum of agreement on the cultural resource mitigation for that project. There's an escrow account of funding for raceway projects, and this National Park Service grant award is an important match for those funds. So we are seriously looking at being able to start to design and think about these initial projects like stabilization of the gatehouse, which is direly needed because that building also is in threat. So that's another important grant award announcement. We also have the announcement that the Green Acres has awarded additional supplemental funds to go along with National Park Service Land and Water Conservation funding for the Paterson Vista Park, which is on the north side of the river. That's a project that in the early part of 22 can start to go into design. And that is sort of right outside of the district, but it's an important space that will interact and be very close to what's happening on the south side of the river in the Great Falls design guidelines for the Great Falls district. And if we convene a committee, it would be good timing to be able to have the committee also offer its input for the anticipation of those the draft guidelines coming to the commission for review and approval early next year. So I'm going over another milestone. In fact, is starting the Argus rehabilitation project that we reviewed and approved well over a year ago. That's at the corner of Van Houten and Mill Street. That project is about to break ground. There was a groundbreaking sort of formal event that happened recently, but the machines are there, the site is fenced off, and the groundbreaking and the beginning of work is starting tomorrow. In fact, the work will get started. So yet another milestone, a large-scale project happening in the Great Falls district. Moving on to including Hinchliffe Stadium, our proposal that is being developed for a modern scoreboard. They may, ask us for our opinion about the scoreboard, and we may actually bring it in for formal review, or we may continue to look at it through the design review committee. We've also had the opportunity to look at color samples, which I had a couple of our commissioners come to the site and participate in looking at color choices for it's pretty much the seating bowl where you sit. And we already have a color for the stadium itself with regard to the vertical surfaces, the horizontal surfaces, the metals, and so forth, or other color choices that we've made recently as that work progresses. Quarry lawn, we are imminently we're still working on getting our sort of last approval and our bidding date set up. We're looking forward to doing a formal announcement of the bidding. We should have an announcement or a date to announce the bidding period, and that's the very beginning, the prologue to the project actually getting off the ground and into full swing to construction after the bidding period is over. So we also have made a lot of progress at Lou Costello Memorial Park under item 6A2. Number one, in other projects in the Great Falls district, the Lou Costello Memorial Park, everyone knows has been under construction for several months now. This coming Wednesday, 2 days from now, there will be an event for a ribbon cutting on the playground portion of the park project. So there's been a decision to do a formal opening that involves the recognition of the various important historical themes that will be recognized in the park, including the life of Lou Costello in the early spring, projected perhaps for March, in fact, when the weather is better. Possibly we may have some grass actually starting to come up in finally, everyone is aware of the Danforth Library project that I've been informing you about. That continues. Our development of construction documents for the $1.5 million project is still ongoing. Off in early spring when the weather improves. So unless there are any questions, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my my report.
Gianfranco, may I add something?
Yes, thank you.
I just wanted to remind the commission that the commission's planning review of First Presbyterian Church was very informative. The city's planning board approved that project last month, so Gianfranco and I are waiting to receive the design review application from the project team. I also wanted to update the commission that the planning reviews done on 90 Broadway and 18 Church Street were also very valuable, and those applications are going to the city planning board on November 29th, so next week. Finally, I wanted to add that the city is having the 2021 tax sale on December 10th, so that's in about 2 weeks, and that is a metric that Gianfranco and I use to look at some of the larger properties in Patterson that are
In the downtown commercial district, we see the large-scale project at Washington and Van Houten Street. We call that the Greenbaum's properties. If everyone remembers doing a review a while ago for a new residential building and rehab of these of the historic corner buildings. Tim and I did visit, and we know that interior work is underway. Like the interior fit out is ongoing at this point. They're doing their rough-in right now, so they are starting that project. And we also are watching while at the corner of Ellison and Washington, the 114 Ellison Street project is actually being, the exterior is being done now. The cornice is being scraped, the brick and lintels were pointed, installed for quite some time.
Thank you, Executive Director. Does that conclude your report?
Mr. Chair, can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes, please.
Gianfranco, reservoir, is it being documented as it is now before the tanks are put in with photos and stuff?
Actually, one of the requirements for mitigation was a hair level documentation, and the hair level documentation includes.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
confirmed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Corbo,
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond,
Yes.
You heard me, but
Yes.
Vice Chair Raffel,
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Secretary, can you please provide the information for the public to call in? Once the information is given, we'll give them 5 minutes to call in, and
9 and enter meeting ID 711-680-001. Again, the call-in number is 973-321-1579. Meeting ID 711-680-001.
thank you. Time is now 7:22, and at 7:27 p.m. we will close the line. Thank you very much.
Vice Chair Raffel,
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Chair Tate,
Yes. Commissioners, our staff, legal, everyone, I hope everyone has a safe and enjoyable holiday in the next coming.
Meeting is a Friday, during the day, probably afternoon. I had mentioned to the commissioners that I would even, would be sort of like the lunch hour, like timing. And it would, obviously would not be this Friday, but, the next Friday, which would be the beginning of December. So please keep that in mind. I'll send an email around to everyone as a reminder to, if you're interested, to try to dress warm and keep that date free. We're still having, fairly good weather with regard to the, kind of, it's not really getting that cold yet. Holiday week, we still may have good weather to do a walk around. I also know that, Vice Chair Raffel is working, on getting us a date for visiting the, Lambert Castle. And I'm sure that she'll join, as well, with a possible date, for that, probably in December, if possible, before the holiday. So I just wanted to mention that, and also, as the chairman said, please everyone have a safe and, wonderful holiday. Look forward to talking with you again, prior to next month's meeting when we have, more new business work to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Note that I sign in at 6:45 p.m. I've been present at the meeting.
Tim, did you hear the, did you record that? We'll have to, talk with Tim offline and figure out how to kind of, get you up to speed.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, I will record Commissioner Garcia Leon for the closing roll call, of course.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Confirmed. Can we, have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right, Tim, did you get that? We have, Commissioner Redmond for the motion and Vice Chair Raffel for the second.
Confirm. No.
Yes. Happy holidays.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Corbo,
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond,
Yes.
Vice Chair Raffel,
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Chair Tate.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I adjourn this meeting at 7:32 p.m. Everyone have a fantastic holiday and thank you everyone who tuned in tonight.
Good night, thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you.
You.
Thank you, guys.